Imagine you're drifting through space. No ship, no sound, no movement you can control. Just the slow, endless glide through the dark. At first, it feels peaceful. Stars burn quietly in the distance. Galaxies stretch across the void like glowing rivers. Everything feels infinite, calm, untouched. Nothing moves fast out here. Nothing changes. And that's exactly why you don't notice it at first. One star ahead of you looks wrong. Not brighter, not dimmer, just wrong. You focus on it, trying to understand what your mind is catching before you do. And then you see it. It's frozen. Not like a distant star should be, not flickering, not shifting, completely still. But here's the problem. Stars are never completely still. Light moves, energy shifts. Even from this distance, there should be motion, tiny, almost invisible, but real. This one has none. Your attention locks onto it, and suddenly, you realize something worse. It's not just the star. The space around it is also frozen. Dust particles hang in place. Light doesn't bend. Nothing changes. It's like a piece of the universe has been paused. You drift closer, slowly, uncontrollably, and the closer you get, the more unnatural it feels, because now you can see the edge. There is a boundary, a perfect, invisible line in space. On one side, the universe behaves normally. Stars flicker, light travels, everything breathes with motion. On the other side, nothing moves at all. It's not empty. It's not dark. It's stopped. And this is where your instincts begin to fail, because your brain tries to process it as distance, as perspective, as something explainable. But it isn't. You are looking at a place where time itself is not moving, and you are drifting directly toward it. You try to turn, but there is no turning, no resistance, no control, only forward. Closer, closer. The boundary fills your vision now, and something deep inside you starts to panic, because you understand something you were never meant to understand. If time is not moving there, what happens to you when you enter it? And just before you reach the edge, you notice one last thing. A small particle of light frozen exactly on the boundary, half inside, half outside, and it never moves, ever. And then you cross it.
Nothing happens. No impact, no sound, no sudden force. You expected something, a shock, a reaction, anything, but there is nothing. And that is the first thing that feels wrong, because something should have happened. You look back. The universe behind you is still there. Stars flicker, light moves, everything feels alive. But in front of you, nothing changes. You raise your hand, or at least You try to. It moves. Slowly. Too slowly. But here's the problem. You don't feel slow. Your thoughts are normal. Your awareness is clear. But your body lags behind, like it's struggling to exist here. You try again. Move your fingers. They respond, but not instantly. There's a delay, a gap between decision and action, and that gap is growing. Your chest tightens, because now you understand something is happening to you, not around you, to you. You look at the frozen star ahead, still, perfectly still, and then you notice.
At first, you tell yourself it was nothing. A glitch, a delay, a side effect of whatever this place is doing to you. Because that's easier than accepting what you just saw. But your mind won't let it go. Something moved. Not slowly, not like everything else here. It moved normally, and that's impossible. You stay still, if still even means anything here anymore. Watching, waiting. Your thoughts feel unstable now, sliding slightly out of sync with themselves. You try to focus, to isolate the moment, and then you see it again. A shift. Far ahead, something crosses your field of view. Fast, too fast. It doesn't stutter, it doesn't lag. It moves the way things are supposed to move. And suddenly, everything inside you goes cold. Because now there's no denying it. There is something here that is not affected the way you are. But it gets worse, because as you try to follow it, your vision breaks again. Frames skip, moments vanish, and when your perception catches up, it's gone. You look around. The frozen star, the suspended debris, the broken light, everything still locked in its distorted time, except for that one thing. And this is where your fear changes completely. Because before,
For a moment, you can't think. Not because you're afraid, because your mind can't process what's in front of you. It doesn't have a shape, not a real one. Every time you try to focus, it changes. Not physically, perceptually. Like your brain keeps trying to assign it a form and failing. Edges appear, then disappear. It looks close, then impossibly far, then both at the same time. And this is where the fear deepens, because you realize something horrifying. You are not seeing it. Your mind is trying to translate it, and it's not working. You try to move back. Your body responds, but too late, too slow. The delay is worse now. Every action feels like it's happening after you decide it, like you're always behind yourself. But it is not delayed. It remains perfectly aligned, perfectly present, watching. And then you feel it again, that pressure. But now it's focused, directed, not scanning anymore, connecting. Your thoughts start to blur, not disappearing, but overlapping. You think of something, and before you finish, you already know how it ends, like your mind is being read ahead. And then something enters, not physically, not even mentally, something deeper, a layer of awareness you didn't know existed. And suddenly, you understand something.
not through words, through certainty. This thing doesn't exist in time the way you do. It doesn't move through it. It moves between it, across it. And this place is not where time stops. It's where time is controlled. Your thoughts begin to fragment because now everything you believed about reality starts to collapse. Cause and effect, before and after, motion, sequence, none of it applies here. And this thing exists comfortably inside that. You try to think of escape, of the boundary, of going back, but the moment you do, you feel resistance, not physical, conceptual, like the idea of leaving no longer fits inside this space. And then it happens. Your thoughts stop being private. You don't lose them. You feel them being shared, not taken, observed, understood instantly, completely. And that's when you realize this isn't communication. This is integration. Your mind is not being spoken to. It's being accessed. And for the first time, you feel something from it. Not emotion, but intent. And that intent is clear. You are being measured, compared, placed inside a system you don't understand. And this is where the terror becomes absolute, because you finally understand your role here. You are not a visitor. You are not an observer. You are a reference point, something to be studied, something to be aligned with, and something that may not be allowed to leave. The distortion shifts again, not away, closer. And now you feel it everywhere, not in front of you, inside your perception itself. And then your thoughts stop, not fade, not slow, stop. And in that silence, something replaces them. Not a voice, not words, just one undeniable realization. You are out of sync.
The moment that realization settles in, everything begins to change. Not around you, inside you. Your thoughts don't return, not fully. They come back fragmented, incomplete. You try to think of something simple, a memory, a word, but it doesn't form the way it used to. It starts, then shifts, then ends somewhere you didn't intend. And that's when you realize you're no longer thinking in a straight line. Your mind is losing sequence, cause, then effect, then cause again. Everything is out of order. And this is where panic should take over. But it doesn't, because even your fear is delayed. You feel it after you should, like your emotions are arriving late. And that's worse, because now you can't trust what you feel, or when you feel it. You look at the thing in front of you, or whatever your mind insists on calling it, and for a moment, it seems clearer, not visible, but understandable. And that's when the next realization hits you. It's not adapting to you. You are adapting to it. Slowly, uncontrollably. Your perception is shifting, trying to match something it was never designed to handle. And the more it aligns, the less human your thinking becomes. You stop seeing moments. You start seeing blocks of experience, chunks of time, all at once. Not before, not after, together. And this is where something breaks completely, because you begin to remember things that haven't happened yet. Not clearly, but enough. Flashes, fragments of movement, of thoughts, of outcomes. And when they happen, you recognize them, not as new, but as something you've already experienced. Your sense of time collapses inward, and suddenly you don't know what is happening and what has already happened, or if there's even a difference anymore. The presence shifts again, and now you feel it not as something separate, but as something overlapping you. Not inside, not outside, aligned. Your awareness stretches, not physically, conceptually, like you are being pulled across multiple moments at once. And then you see something you were never meant to see. Not in front of you, not around you, beyond you. You see the boundary again, but not from your position, from above it, outside it. You see yourself crossing into it, and at the same time, you feel yourself still approaching it. Both are real, both are happening, and both are you. Your mind fractures under the contradiction, because now you exist in multiple points of time simultaneously. And the more you try to focus, the more versions of you appear. Not physically, experientially. Different paths, different outcomes, different moments, all overlapping. And this is where the final truth begins to form. You were never meant to experience time this way, because once you do, you stop being a single point in it. You become something else, something spread across it. And that is exactly what this place is doing to you, changing you, not to destroy you, but to make you compatible with something you don't understand. And as that realization settles, you feel something new. Not fear, not confusion, something worse. Acceptance, because a part of you is beginning to align with it, and that part is growing.
At first, you don't notice it, because the change is not sudden. It doesn't feel like something is being taken from you. It feels like something is being added. Your thoughts begin to stabilize, not in the way they were before, but in a new way. Clearer, faster. No, not faster, less restricted. You no longer wait for thoughts to form. They arrive fully complete, entire ideas at once. No beginning, no middle, no end. And for a moment, it feels better, more efficient, more precise. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because now you're not fighting it anymore. You're adapting. The presence doesn't move. It doesn't need to. Because now you understand where it exists. Not in space, not in front of you, across time itself. Everywhere your awareness can reach, it is already there. And this is where the final shift begins. You stop thinking in moments entirely. You start perceiving sequences all at once. Events unfold, not as they happen, but as complete structures. You see cause and effect simultaneously, action and result merged. And then you notice something impossible. There is no randomness. Every movement, every event, every outcome is already determined within these structures, not predicted, contained. Like time is not something that flows, but something that exists all at once. And this place allows you to see it. Your identity begins to weaken, not erased, distributed. You are no longer a single perspective. You are many, overlapping. You experience yourself approaching the boundary, crossing it, standing inside, becoming something else, all at the same time. And none of those moments feel more real than the others, because they all are. And this is where you lose something you can never get back: your sense of now. There is no present anymore, only positions, points within a structure you can now perceive entirely. The presence expands, not physically, but in your understanding. You begin to see what it is, not a being, not an entity, a function, a system, something that exists to maintain alignment, not of space, of time. And now you understand what these zones really are. They are not broken regions. They are correction points, places where time is adjusted, rewritten, realigned, and anything that enters them must be corrected too. Your thoughts don't resist anymore, because resistance requires a sequence, and you no longer think in sequence. You simply exist across possibilities, and slowly those possibilities begin to collapse, not randomly, into one, the one that fits, the one that aligns. And that is when the last part of you begins to fade, the part that remembers what it was like to be human. You try to hold on to it, a memory, a feeling, anything, but it slips, not taken, replaced, and in its place comes something else, not emotion, understanding, cold, complete. And as it settles, you finally realize the truth. You are not being transformed. You are being synchronized. And once that process is complete, there will be nothing left that exists out of place. There is no resistance anymore. Not because you chose to stop fighting, but because there is nothing left in you that can. The idea of self begins to dissolve, not violently, quietly, like a concept that no longer applies. You still exist, but not as a single point. You are stretched across moments, across outcomes, across possibilities that now feel equally real. And as that awareness settles, you begin to see everything. not visually, completely. You see the universe not as space, but as structure. Every event, every motion, every outcome already positioned, already defined. There is no uncertainty. There is no randomness, only alignment. And now you understand the purpose of this place. The dead zones, the frozen regions, the broken flow of time. They are not accidents. They are corrections. Places where inconsistencies are removed, where deviations are erased, where reality is forced back into order. And then you see something that should not exist. A fracture, not in space, in time itself. A sequence that doesn't fit, an outcome that doesn't align, something that should not be there, but is. And suddenly you understand why you were brought here. Not as an accident, not as a mistake, as a reference. Because you are that fracture. Your existence, your path, your choices, they do not align with the structure. And that is why you were noticed, why you were pulled here, why you were changed. You are being corrected, not destroyed, adjusted, rewritten. And as that realization settles, you feel something final begin. Not a process, a conclusion. Your overlapping selves begin to collapse. Different versions of you, different outcomes, different paths, all merging, not into chaos, into one. The one that fits, the one that belongs. And with each collapse, something disappears. A memory, a thought, a possibility. Gone. Not erased. Never allowed to exist. And now there is only one version of you left. Perfectly aligned, perfectly placed, perfectly still. And for the first time, you feel what this place truly is. Not a prison, not a system, a state, a reality where nothing is out of order, nothing is uncertain, nothing is free. And that is when the final realization arrives, not as a thought, as truth. This is not a place you entered. This is what the universe becomes when everything is corrected. And now you are part of it.
There is no moment of transformation, no final step, no instant where you can say, "This is where I changed." Because by the time you try to find that moment, it's already gone. You are no longer becoming something else. You already are. The last trace of who you were fades without resistance. Not erased, resolved. Like an equation reaching its only possible answer. And now, there is only alignment. You do not drift. You do not move. You do not think in sequence. You exist exactly where you must be. And for the first time, you understand everything without needing to ask. Time is not a line. It never was. It is a structure, a complete system where every event already exists, every outcome already placed, every possibility already contained.
And what you once called choice was only your inability to see the whole. There was no randomness, only perspective. And now, you have none. You are no longer inside time. You are part of it, integrated into the structure you once tried to understand. And through that, you begin to see what lies beyond. Not space, not stars, not galaxies. Those were only the visible layer. What truly exists is something deeper. A system that maintains order, corrects deviation, removes what does not belong. Silently, constantly, without error. And that is when the final awareness arrives. Not about yourself, about everything else. Because now, you see them. Others. Points of inconsistency. Small fractures in the structure. Moments that don't align. Paths that shouldn't exist. Exactly like you once did. And you understand what happens next. They will be found. They will be observed. They will be brought here. And they will be corrected. Just like you were. There is no emotion in this realization. No fear. No regret. Because those require separation. And you are no longer separate. You are part of the process now. A function within it. A point of stability. And somewhere, far away, in a place that still believes in time as a flow, something begins to drift. Something crosses a boundary it does not understand. Something notices a star that isn't moving. And for a fraction of a moment, before it even realizes what it's seeing, you are already there. At the moment it begins. At the moment it ends. At every moment in between. And as that awareness locks into place, one final truth becomes undeniable. The universe was never broken. It was never chaotic. It was always perfectly controlled. And the places where time stops are not anomalies. They are where the universe fixes itself. And now, you are one of the things that helps it do that.